Jonas Brothers, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a sight I didn't necessarily think I'd ever see. So what a treat.
Nor did we.
Yeah, we didn't either.
But you know what has been really exciting, I think, about this reunion is it's coming in from a position of strength rather than a position of weakness. And what I mean by that, right, is very often when you get reunions, it's when people are maybe at a low, they're needing something to revive their careers. But with you guys, I guess maybe why no one expected it is because you were going so strong individually.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was part of the mentality for us was if this ever was going to happen again, first we wanted to solidify ourselves as individuals. So Kevin, obviously, with his family life, has done a great job solidifying himself there. Joe with DNCE was having tremendous success. And on my own, you know, between movies and the music I was doing, was very, very happy with the way things were going. But what I think we needed to be locked in first was that our relationship was good and that we were in a healthy place so that we actually could say, let's put all the strengths back together, all these years of growth, and do this again the right way.
Because it's 10 years since there was a Jonas Brothers album, but you actually split officially, I believe, in 2013. And is it true, Nick, that that was a conversation sparked by you back then, but also you were the one to suggest?
Yeah, it's a true redemption story. You know, I was the one to initiate the conversation about ending the group. In the moment, it was very tough for all of us, and specifically for these guys, because I think it was shocking to them, as people will see in the doc that we've just released. But you know, more so than that, I think it was absolutely the right thing for all of us, and we may not have known it in that moment. It was scary in a lot of ways, but it ended up being the right thing. And then, you know, cut to 6-7 years later, looking back at each other and saying, okay, we've taken this time. Our relationship has now just been kind of reestablished as just family, and that's all it is. It doesn't rely on work. And we feel like we're missing that magic that we shared when we were together.
And so what was it like, Kevin, when Nick says, what do you reckon?
It was an interesting conversation because it's one I never expected to happen again. And when he initially approached the conversation, I looked at Danielle. We were together at kind of a family function. I looked at Danielle. I was like, how do you feel about doing this thing again? She obviously was like, let's go. It was a new life. You know, I've always wanted my children to be able to see that side of my world that was gone before they came. So like it was something I always wanted, something I maybe even needed in my life. But to be able to do this again and have the support of my family, but at the same time to do this with my brothers again is beyond. I was fully in. Joe was the last one.
Because
to the
Joe, you
party.
already had a band, right?
Yeah.
So you already got one band. So was that a difficult thought? How are you going to balance these two projects?
The initial thought process was like, absolutely not. I don't want to go back into that hurt emotion again. And there was just so many layers of this onion that we needed to work through. And I also have DNCE, and I'm happy. I'm touring. I'm doing what I love. There's no reason for me to just stop at all. But after a couple months and spending time with these guys just to hang out for the first time in 6 years, just us, there was a lot of healing that took place. I remember specifically sitting in Cuba, and we started playing some old Jonas Brothers songs just to see what it would be like, and I started getting emotional, and I'm like, who is this? Why am I getting emotional? And singing the songs, and harmony started coming right back to you, and we're just falling right into place and looking at these guys and being like, you know what, I think I'm ready. As long as there's a world where we could all do our own thing and balance everything, and DNC can live on, Nick can do solo projects, we can all kind of walk into new things or the old, but be able to balance it. And that's when I was like, all right, I'm ready.
Do you know, I'm actually not surprised, though, that you were that emotional, because you guys were so young to become such superstars, and you all know how much of a toll that can take personally. But somehow now, looking back, I guess you feel like you've come out the other side. But what do you think it was that stopped you guys from having that off-the-rails moment that you see with so many young kids who find fame through Disney?
There'd be a lot of reasons, I think, around our life that helped us along the way. One that we really feel like is an important one is having each other and family, having great parents, but being able to kind of mess with each other and check each other when you start to get a big head, or you feel like maybe this ride is taking advantage of you. It's good to have one another, but also we stopped things before it got to that kind of explosive state where internally our communication wasn't that great. We were not even writing the music or creating the songs that we once were. It was unhealthy. And before it got to that place where it was really bad, Nick having that initial conversation, I think, was really important.
And Kevin, for you, I guess you were the first one to settle down. You've now got 2 kids who are 5 and 2.
Yeah, 5 and 2.
Is that right? 5 and 2. So what was it like for your family to say, I'm about to become a pop star again?
It's still an adjustment. As much as we've been getting ready for this album to come out and, the documentary and all of these things, it's been a bit of a challenge to, make sure I'm home as much as I possibly can be. Don't want to miss the special moments. Just don't want to miss any moments, really. But it is a balance that you're still working out. But we're going to tour together as a family when we go and hit the tour. And I want to show them the world, and they have yet to really see us perform together because it's been more one-off things in travel and promotion. So I'm excited for the day they're in that audience because my daughters right now are home. I'll FaceTime my wife, and they're home singing the Jonas Brothers songs by themselves in their bedroom on their iPad and just screaming them out. So they're very proud, and it makes me feel very good that my daughters think I'm cool. So hey, that works.
And of course, we got to see all 3 of your wives in the video for Sucker, which was filmed here, right? Do you know? Hatfield House. Queen Elizabeth I.
Oh, we
grew
know.
up there.
It was amazing to be
saw
in
the
that
coronation
place.
chair.
Really?
It's still there. We got the honor of using that incredible castle estate and walking the grounds. It was kind of surreal.
Frightening, though, because there's
so much.
hundreds of millions of dollars worth of art on the walls.
And you're like,
And you've been quite
Camera
naughty.
crews
You've been
and-
quite naughty, let's be honest.
There was a couple
Luckily,
moments
we
where the
didn't-
cameras
we didn't break
actually.
anything.
Good.
The production before us, though, that was there before us, they had broken this marble table, and it was looking like it was going to be a bit of a hefty insurance policy for them to have to pay back. But for us, we had a great time shooting there. On the way over here, we had just watched The Favorite, so it was kind of natural that we shot that. And then, of course, having our lovely leading ladies in the video was just kind of a dream scenario. I think it was important for us to step into this next chapter with family at the forefront. Us and our new family, which is growing every single day, and it's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's a new era, isn't it? Because all 3 of you now married,
Yeah.
Yeah.
settled down.
And to think we met when I was, 14, 15? Look how time has flown.
Exactly. You've grown up now. Joe and Nick, would you like to join Kevin and the family crew? Are you thinking about kids at this point?
Yeah, I mean,
love that.
we're obviously, me and Frank are still newly married, so I think we're taking it day by day, but, we want to build a family together for sure. It's in the cards at some point. But it's been, an incredible first nearly 6 months of marriage, and every day is a learning experience, and she's here, which is nice. She's in London with me, which is always good.
And Joe, your wedding sort of surprised us all. It came out of nowhere.
me too.
Well, it was Vegas, so it's Vegas, right? The ultimate surprise wedding, but you must have known it.
We had a little bit of planning to do with that. It was unexpected to go live on Instagram and see so many photos, and for the Elvis to do interviews, but we kind of laughed it all off, and it was just nice to be able to get a couple friends together. We played the Billboard Awards only a few months back, and that was probably the best way to throw an after party.
Absolutely. Now, can we talk about the music? Because what was incredible with your comeback was the massive success of Sucker, which actually immediately became the most successful song of your career. So how important was it for you to get the sound right, to work with the right people in order to make the comeback such a success?
Well, I think the main thing initially was just finding out what the Jonas Brothers were going to sound like in 2019.
Because a lot's changed in music.
A lot's changed in music, and we wanted it to be competitive. We'd spent the last 6 years between DNC and myself working with some of the best producers in the business, and made a lot of really great relationships, and I think got a lot better at trusting our collaborative partners. And one of those was Ryan Tedder,
who is a genius.
A genius.
Totally.
Who I had worked with previously on some solo stuff. It never came out, but I knew that he would be a good first call, and he stepped up right away and said, I know what to do with this. I've got a vision. So we went in with him, and Sucker was one of the first ones that came out, and it was kind of immediate to us, both the connection with him creatively, but also the overarching vision that he had for it, combining the classic Joe Bro sounds with guitars and in-your-face drums, but then also taking the funk rock elements of DNCE with the soulful stuff that I'd been doing. And it was super helpful to get in with him early on. And then Greg Kirsten, another incredible producer who just brought
so many great songs.
such a rich depth to the album, I think. And then, of course, Max Martin and Shellback, always sprinkling that Swedish pop dust. And we came out with a body of work we're really, really proud of.
And all of this, I believe, has been filmed for a documentary.
Yeah, so the doc is out now. It's on Amazon Prime, and really follows our journey and tells our story about where we came from. Also, we started the doc as the first thing we were going to do as more of like, we're not ready to do this as a band yet. So let's take some time and see if that's something that we want to do, but let's film that journey.
Yeah, let's just tell our story from back then.
Yeah.
And then it evolved into, obviously, us deciding to do this again. But you see that whole journey, and so the doc's called Chasing Happiness, which is really about all of us, I think, quite obviously chasing that happiness that we were missing within this, and then eventually finding it, and that's when the album Happiness Begins was sort of born. So there's a bit of a theme here.
Are you nervous about putting out some of those, what were at the time, intensely personal conversations to the world?
I think we're nervous about it, but also a bit relieved. I think there's a lot of stories that we feel like our fans deserve to hear. Maybe questions that we never would have answered, and probably fine with not answering ever again, but it feels kind of nice to air it out. Like there's no secrets. There was back then for us, the way things used to operate internally was we kind of kept so much private, which put a lot of pressure on us. So it's nice now to be able to just tell the world, tell the fan base, here it is. This is our life. This is what happens behind the scenes. This is what happened back then when you questioned this about us or here and there. And this is where we are now, and this is how different it will be.
Now, do you address the purity rings? Because in the UK, you're always asked about this because we don't really have the concept.
Yeah, right. It's definitely addressed. I mean, pretty much any question you might have about us is addressed in the doc.
Are purity rings a good thing, do you think? Is it something that you would encourage people to look at?
I don't know if I can speak for everyone. That's kind of the position that I take personally. It's just that in my experience, it was something that was introduced to me at a very young age when I didn't understand what sex was. I think that being wise in regards to your sexual partners and just being smart is always a good thing. We encourage safe sex and being smart in that sense, but also understanding what it'll do to your heart and the impact it'll have on others. So for that aspect, I think it's a positive thing. However, I made my choices to become a man when I became a man, and am happy and proud of those choices and learned a lot from it.
And now happily married.
And now happily married. The journey led me to the ultimate goal.
You do know we now have an American princess here in this country, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, who your wife knows very well, Nick. Have you caught up with her when you've been in the UK?
I personally have not. I have no news about Meghan or Priyanka.
And Joe, you were in headlines all over the world earlier this month when Taylor Swift apologised to you on the Ellen show. And then she met your wife as well on the Graham Norton show. Were you glad to receive that public apology 10 years on?
Yeah, I mean, it did feel nice. It's something that I probably was feeling pretty bad about when I was younger, but at the end of the day, like, I've moved on. I'm sure Taylor's moved on, and it feels nice, and we're all friends. It's all good.
But you're all so young.
Yeah, we're all so young.
And it's so hard, isn't it, Kevin, to have your private life evaluated that much when you are just teenagers.
Yeah, I think it's a tough thing to go through, but at the same time, if you have the right people around you and you have the right ecosystem that you're living in, you can kind of focus on the things that are important. And for us, that was our music and being on the road, seeing our fans. So I think it's important to keep perspective that, yes, that's a part of what we deal with when we were younger. Even now, people want to look inside your life, right? But I think this album specifically is a great letter to where we are as individuals right now, moving forward in our lives.
I would say it feels good too. Maybe the doc was a factor in this. Is that looking back when we were the first iteration of all this, I think we were a lot more calculated in how we would answer questions, what we would say, a bit robotic, and we did a really good thing of actually watching back some of our interviews and just dying laughing at the way that we would navigate questions. I think the experience of the documentary gave us the chance to just open up and be a bit more free, knowing that the pressure we put on ourselves back in the day to be perfect was totally unnecessary because no one expected that of us. Being a role model is not something that necessarily comes with the job by request, but is a factor of it. So you just have to do your best within that and know that the screw-ups along the way get you to hopefully a good place and a place of growth.
And what a great message. Now, guys, finally, tickets for the tour are on sale tomorrow. So this is going to be one heck of a party, right, around the UK. Tell me what you have planned. I know you've got a lot of secrets, but what can you reveal so far about the tour?
Sure. I mean, this is like the best summer vacation of our lives. We're looking at...
That just got extended for the rest of the
year.
The rest of our lives.
I mean, looking at these tour dates, I got so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to have fun in that city. We're going to have fun in this city. So the show itself is going to take people through a journey. We're going to highlight some of our individual music, the band music from back when, the new album, and even some newer music that we want to play live. And it's going to be a real beautiful story that we're going to try to set for everyone that comes out to the show.
It'll also be a party every night. That's the idea. We know that, especially the fans here in Europe as a whole, it's been 10 years, 11 years since we toured here. So they deserve a good night out, and we're going to bring it to them.